Hey everyone, it's Orla of Performance Yoga. Gorgeous sunny morning here, and I'm going to give you a video now, 20 minutes of back health. So back health encompasses so many different things. The physical aspect of it is that it needs to be mobile, needs to be able to move, but it also needs to be strong to be able to protect you as you do your normal day-to-day stuff. On top of that, your sports, whatever it is that you do. So we'll start off real easy. The biggest tip I have when you're primarily doing stuff for your back is use 2 mats, because you want it to be pretty comfortable every time you go lie down or lie on your tummy or your back when you're doing things. So make it easy on yourself. Start off lying down on your back, hugging your knees up to your tummy. Top tip for the girls, don't wear anything in your hair. That could be hard. So hug up those knees tight and give yourself a squeeze, a rock from side to side. All this is doing, it's beginning to get the hips, knees and feet a little bit mobile, but it's also just giving a gentle stretch out to the lower back. Really easy. Should be comfortable, should be pain-free, especially on 2 mats. Just for the hips, all we'll do is stretch one leg out straight away from you and hug the other leg right into your side. Draw that knee out to the side just to begin a little opening stretch for the groin area. Have a nice relaxing deep breath in there and then pull it in and bring the other one up. Swap out. Drawing out the knee to the outside a little bit. It shouldn't be painful and you're not wrenching it, you're just guiding it out and taking a nice deep breath into the belly, and that's a little bit more for the hips. Let's take the 2 legs up and in together again. And for the hamstrings, just to wake those guys up a little bit, stretch the 2 legs toward the ceiling and give the hamstrings just a little bit of a rub. You don't have to fully straighten your knees here, but if you feel like you can push those heels right up to the ceiling, and you'll feel the hamstrings in behind your thighs. You'll feel those muscles. You can just give them a little bit of a deep tissue rub. Just get them woken up a little bit. Excellent. Great opportunity here to stimulate the core muscles. If you bend your knees and create a right angle with your hips, your knees and your feet, you'll notice that your tummy area has to work particularly hard here. So what I'd like you to do is gently pull your pubic bone up to your belly button, noticing that that gently flattens the lower back down towards the ground. And you'll be well aware that your tummy muscles are activated now. Your tummy muscles are part of your core strength system. So you just want to make sure that they're awake, especially if you're doing this and you're straight out of bed. It's nice just to alert these guys, let them know that you're coming. Take a few deep breaths while you're there, and then hug your knees into your tummy again when you have time. Little rock from side to side, so it's easy going stuff already. Twirl out the ankles there, because you will be doing some standing work in a while. Give them a good loosen out. If you can, take the hands inside your knees, go all the way to grab your toes, and just give the big toes a little bit of a stretch up and down there. Continue to stay as present as you can in the moment by deepening your breath and just being aware of the movement your breath has on your body. So that really just means your breath obviously stretches your rib cage in and out. And your rib cage is directly associated and connected to your back and your spine. So it's really important to kind of marry the 2 together there. Let's take the knees all the way over to the right hand side if you can. And when they go right, try to keep your left shoulder blade down on the mat. The only way to benefit from your stretch here is through a nice deep breath, and I suggest about 4 or 5, if not 6 deep breaths per side here. This is just twisting the thoracic spine. That's the spine in between the shoulder blades. Gives it a nice little rotation, gentle twist. Let's try the same on the opposite side. So knees all the way up and over. They may or may not touch the ground. Your stability point here is the opposite shoulder. Keep the shoulder blade down on the mat. Try to keep it pinned down and glued down. And a nice deep breath or 2 really into the belly, and you'll notice the rib cage. You'll notice it expand as you breathe in and contract as you breathe out. And as I said, the rib cage, so important, linked to the thoracic spine. Come back to the center. Now this time we work into the hips a little bit more. Take the feet out to the width of the mat, left and right, and slowly let your knees drift over to the right, and then slowly up and over to the left. So you can go all the way to the ground with those knees. You don't have to. I don't bother. It's not necessary. just as long as you're drifting slowly over and back. In class, I often liken this movement to windscreen wipers just going over and back. And it's nice to say that in this lovely summer, we, touch wood, haven't seen the windscreen wipers in a few days anyway in Ireland, so that's good. Alright, let's take the knees back into your tummy. Good stuff. You've the work done on your back now, so we're going to take ourselves to sitting. Bring yourself up whatever way you can to sitting, and let's get those 2 blocks. Once you've got your blocks, that's usually in my yoga practice, that's a handy little seat to use. And you can sit up nice and tall, just crossing the legs there at the shins. We don't need to bring the knees all the way down. It's not the point of this at all. The point is just to sit up nice and strong. This is about your spine more than anything. So if you cross the legs at the shin area and just press gently down into the outer aspect of each foot, but not down into the outer aspect of the outer ankles. So try and keep that pressure just there at the outer edge of the feet. Sit up nice and tall on the blocks to give your spine a little lightness and a little bit of lift. Just give yourself a moment to be aware here, just awareness. Awareness of how your back feels in this position, how the legs feel. Hopefully they're comfortable. If they're not comfortable, uncross, just hold them here like I'm doing. If you are comfortable, work into the length of your spine. So imagine it, 33 bones stacked from the base of your neck all the way down your spine towards your tailbone. Imagine getting a bit of light and lift into those joints, raising them one individually up on top of the other. Breathing into the belly, you've now created so much space for your rib cage to contract and relax and expand as you breathe. Excellent. We're going to take a couple of side movements. Take your right hand down to the side, left hand reaches all the way up and tilt yourself over to the right. It doesn't matter if you've gone left, it doesn't matter what side you go to first, because you have 2 sides and you'll be working into the 2 of them. Once you've drifted over to the right, notice your left sit bone on the blocks. If you can press that left sit bone down, that will just generate a little bit more of a stretch through your latissimus muscle. Let's go to the other side, all the way up and over. Once you've gone over, use your breath and push your right hip down onto the mat, or the blocks should I say. So when you're gone left, it's the right hip, the opposite hip, that needs that little encouragement to stay down. So otherwise it might just tilt up and over. Great, lovely morning stretches. Hands into your heart center. Big deep breath there. We're going to turn left, going as far left as we feel comfortable. And then left hand goes down behind us. Right hand just rests really onto this knee. Every inhale you can usually lengthen and grow your spine a little bit. Every exhale it's a gentle turn around a little further. You work with your abilities and respect your limitations. Especially if it's your first time doing anything like this, it's really important just to go with the flow with your own body. Don't try and push yourself. We're all different shapes, different sizes, and need to respect our own limitations in terms of our mobility. Let's come all the way back. Turning right. This time the right hand goes down behind you, the left hand onto the knee, and you lift your chest on an inhale, and it's a deeper turn around on an exhale. Take your time about these moves. It might seem really slow to you, but these are the little tick box things that you should go through for a strong, healthy spine before you get into the bigger core moves that we will be doing. Great stuff. Come back to the center. Hands onto the 2 knees and inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, round your chest. So it's just a version of cat-cow in sitting. Inhale, head up, chest up. Exhale, round the spine. Just the one more. Inhale, head up. Exhale, round the spine. Lovely job. Let's come on to all fours. Stretch it out. Let's get rid of the blocks. You don't need those for the moment. And if you're beginning to heat up, you can begin to whip off a layer, like I need to do right now. Excellent. So on all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and the toes can be pointed away or curled under. Your preference, your choice. Inhale, head up, chest up. Exhale, round the spine, press the ground away. So this is working on the mobility of our spine, not the strength as such, but a lot about how the joints move. I mentioned 33 joints earlier. They're getting a chance to flex every time you look up, extend, and flex every time you look down. So that extension, that flexion, you're just building it back into the spine if it's been stiff, if it's missing. And you're working with your own abilities here. Let's do some side-to-side movements. Look around your right shoulder, stick the right hip out so you can see it, and then the same to the opposite side. And go for it. Reverse all the way left and right, turning left and right, just to get the side movement into the spine nice and healthily. Good stuff. Now, we're going to come back to all fours in a sec, but just shake out the wrists, give them a little loosen out. Sometimes people will do this just to stretch them out, no problem with that, but just don't lean down onto the wrist heavily when you have it in that position. I prefer just a good old shake out. You want to just take the hands together, interlace the fingers, press the hands away up and over, and then just flick out the wrists a little bit, because we've got a good bit of pressure coming down onto the arms now. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. This time do curl the toes under. Find what's called your neutral spine. This one's for strength. Halfway between full version of cat or cow is your tabletop position, your neutral spine. I want you to press your left knee down to the floor as you reach your right leg away from you. Once you reach that right leg away from you, push the heel to the wall behind you. Try not to let your back sag and arch right here. The goal is to keep a straight, strong spine with your leg in the air like this. Left arm reaches ahead of you. Imagine you're shaking someone's hand. Imagine you've got their hand, and just gently draw them a little closer towards you. It's like you're trying to plug your left shoulder back into its socket. Push the right leg away from you. Lift your tummy up away from the mat. And breathe. Good. If that back leg is flagging low any little bit, give it a little lift without arching your spine. It's all about independent movement of your arm and leg while keeping your spine stable. Come back down and shake it off down into child's pose. You've probably done this one with me before. Shake out the wrists, they'll need that, the shoulders, and then back up again. Let's give the other side a go. So this time, plug that right knee firmly down to the floor as you take your left leg out behind you. Once you've got that left leg out, double check your back. Sometimes having a mirror is handy because you don't, without that feedback, it's kind of hard to know what your spine is doing. Sometimes I just have a mirror to my side and I can see these things. Not today. Push the left heel away from you and really draw that belly button up away from your mat. Right arm sails out in front of you. It doesn't have to be reaching mad straight, as long as it's just reaching out. Imagine you've got someone's hand here and you pull them a little closer towards you. Because the core isn't just around the lumbar and lower spine, it's all over the whole spine. And we really want to try and engage every muscle from the neck area to the shoulder area to the ribs to the lower spine. And then down we come again. In all that time you'll have had at least 6 deep breaths. Ease back into child's pose and just rotate out the wrists there nice and easily. Shrug the shoulders. That's good work. A little bit more core stuff here. Hands down. This time feet point away from you. Knees are under your hips. That's very important. Find a little neutral spine position. That's the halfway point. Now we press into the hands and the tops of the feet, hovering our knees off the ground. My hips are directly over my knees, and you'll feel your tummy muscles work hard, your upper body and your tummy and your quad muscles sometimes. Big deep breaths here. And then we'll curl the toes under, lift our hips up, spread our hands out wide, and we're in this lovely downward facing dog position now. In downward dog, make it a mobile downward dog. A freestyling downward dog, if you will, just by pressing one heel to the floor and then the other, and wiggling out the hips and lower back, just to give those areas a good bit of mobility. It's the job. Let's walk yourself up to the front of the mat And then inhale when you're ready, all the way up to standing. Exhale back, hands to heart center, bend the knees deeply and touch the floor. Now when your knees are bent deeply, you can touch the floor. If they're straightened out, sometimes floor is nowhere near you, and that's no problem. It'd be the same for me. I'm not interested in touching the floor with straight knees. It's not particularly good for my body. Let's take the right leg back at that point and drop down the right heel. Hands come all the way up to your center line, your waist. And when you're there, I'm going to get you just to wiggle out the hips a little bit. We're just doing a simple, straightforward warrior two. The reason I'm doing this warrior two is so that you can see how important it is for your spine. Warrior two, not a big lean forwards. It's just a strong, straight spine all the way up. So with the left knee over the left ankle, strong, straight back leg. Tuck down the tailbone, drawing the pubic bone up to your belly button. And lengthen that spine in the same way that you did earlier on when you were sitting. So when you were sitting on those blocks, we talked about gaining length between all the spinal joints. Perfect opportunity to do it again here. Nice deep breath into the belly. And then we'll windmill our arms back down. Stepping forward. Inhale the arms all the way up. Hands to your heart center as we fold down again. Hands to touch the floor. Knees are bent. Let's take back that left leg. You'll see my back for most of this version. Left heel on the floor and hands up onto your hips or waist, anywhere at all there. The reason we do it is because I want you to wiggle out the hips. I want you to know and see how mobile the hips and lower back are in this position. Then we level the hips up. You want total equal levels between the two guys here. The right knee is over the right ankle. The back knee is strong and straight, warrior two. Now it's about lengthen the spine. So I'm just making a few variations, taking the side from spine to spine here, so you can see the amount of different positions that people can get into in these moves to really help your spine. Tuck down your tailbone and lengthen your spine. One long line as if you're sitting tall. Deepen your breath. You can relax the shoulders if they're tense and reach the hands away strongly from each other. So much to gain from a straightforward yoga pose. Hands back into your heart center. Windmill them down, stepping forward, and inhale those arms all the way up. Exhale those arms down, and we'll take a little forward fold here. Now, I have blocks nearby me, so I'm going to use them. I love them. I'm putting down two little blocks at the front of my mat. Now you could go get a chair or something like anything to lean your hands onto here, because we're going to finish with a nice long hamstring stretch. Bending the knees, inhale, let's lift the hips up, but I'm not worried about flexing and getting my knees to my nose or anything like that. I'm going to keep my chest lifted. With that lift in the chest, we're getting a nice bit of length through here. I'm not worried that my knees are bent. I can feel a stretch back here. In fact, the more I lift my chest and then my hips, that's when I'm really developing a decent hamstring stretch in there. Big deep breath. Lifting the chest, lifting the hips. Perfect. Deeply bend the knees, hands into your heart center, and up you come. Shake out the legs. They've worked a little bit there, there's no doubt. Let's bring those two blocks back to the middle of the mat or somewhere in close to it. And just take a seat back to a place where you were at the start or beginning of this 20 minutes, and just relax the shoulders. Notice how your back feels now compared to how it did before you started the practice. Let's turn left again. Left hand goes down onto the floor behind you. Right hand is just up on the opposite knee. And imagine lifting with your inhale, winding yourself down, turning a little further with your exhale. yourself the other way, cooling down, winding down, turning right, lifting and lengthening. Shoulders relaxed, face muscles relaxed. And then you're bringing yourself back to your center point. Well done. There's so much you can do for your back health through yoga and physio things. I hope that was a nice little taster for you. You got 20 minutes there to play with. There's so many different options, so I'll try and get a couple of more sequences up in time. Bring your hands, if you'd like, into your heart center. Namaste. Well done. Hope you get on well with that. Let me know how it goes for you, and see you soon.